one and all, as we celebrate the magic of women in cinema at our Film Coven. We're your hosts, Kelli Mehan
and Melissa Woody, and today we are bringing Margot Robbie into our cinema circle. How's it going,
Melissa,
Kelli?
our second episode. I'm so excited because our second episode, we're getting ready to touch on real life women, not just female characters, but real life women who are bringing some magic to cinema. How did we sort of come about with Margot Robbie?
Well, she has a very highly anticipated film that's coming out very soon that you might have heard of, called Barbie, where I swear to God, their marketing budget has no limit.
This is like not a property I was excited for. Like, it's been in development hell for years, I feel, at this point. And then suddenly out of nowhere with these ads and trailers and things like that, I'm like, I want to see that. And then when you hear Greta Gerwig sort of talk about the process of it all, like, I'm so in, I'm so excited. Are you going to go see Barbie in cinemas?
Absolutely. And I desperately will want to talk to you about it afterwards.
Yes. But
how about you?
Margot Robbie. Oh, I'm so excited. Like, as I sort of said, like, not what I thought I would be keen for, but those trailers really sell me on like the meta humor of it all. And when you hear like Greta Gerwig talk about umbrellas of Cherbourg and the red shoes and things like that being inspiration for it all, I'm like, I know, right? I can't be more in. And I feel like at this point, I've gone from no hopes to my hopes so high that I'll be devastated if it doesn't meet them. But I've got fingers crossed. I loved Little Women 2019. I'm hoping we'll talk about it at some point. So I'm on the train, ready to go.
Yes.
But let's get into our Woman of the Hour with Margot Robbie. Melissa, what is the first movie you saw her in?
Yeah, so she came to me maybe a little bit later than maybe most people. But the first movie or kind of thing I ever saw her in was Suicide Squad as Harley Quinn. That was the first time I saw her. And I know we'll probably talk about that a little bit more later, but I definitely was intrigued. I mean, as we know, that movie's not great, but she definitely was the standout for that movie. So that was the first time I saw her, and I was definitely intrigued by this bombshell blonde woman, but it kind of has, I think, something more to share and show to the world. How about you?
I came to her a little bit differently. Yes, I came to her a little bit differently because I can't believe it's taken like a whole couple minutes and I haven't even said she's Australian. So of course, like, this is one of our pride and joy exports we've got going at the moment. But I saw a little bit of her on Neighbours, which is one of our two longest running Australian primetime soap operas. So you're either a Home and Away person or a Neighbours person. I was definitely much more of a Home and Away person, but you would see like in some of our tabloid magazines and things like that, a lot of the cast on our like national red carpet for our TV events and things like that. So I had seen the face before. So when I saw, I heard of her from The Wolf of Wall Street when she sort of really exploded onto the scene. It was like, oh, Neighbours, like you make those sort of connections. Like when I saw Chris Hemsworth as Thor, it's like, not that guy from Home and Away. Like you definitely have those sorts of things as well. But I didn't see Wolf of Wall Street first. I came to that one much later as well. So the first thing I would have seen would have been Focus in 2015 with Will Smith, and kind of going like, yeah, she's great. Like, you know what I mean? But that movie is a little bit forgettable, and she's got good chemistry with Will Smith. But I agree with you. It's when you sort of see Suicide Squad that you see a lot of that real star power start coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. I did not see Focus either, so I have to add it to the list.
Do you though? Because there was Focus and there was Z for Zachariah and Legend of Tarzan, and I'm like, yeah, bit of some she's good rough movies is the way I would put it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I kind of preparing for this episode, a lot of her movies haven't been financially successful. I kind of read this article that was like, Barbie's her make and break, and I was like, I don't think so. Like, I think she has enough star power and other things going on. But it was just kind of interesting to think about that there has been quite a few films that haven't been financially successful, but she still was good in them, at least. Like she's kind of always been a highlight in a lot of her movies, even if the movie is not that great.
I very much with that. Let's get into the first movie we want to highlight with her, which is, as I sort of said, the absolute breakout role, The Wolf of Wall Street. You told me when we were planning that this is one that you hadn't seen yet. So what is your take on it? How does it live up?
Yeah, so this was a first time watch for me. I really enjoyed it overall. I thought it was definitely one of Martin Scorsese's more colorful films, like visually and just storytelling wise. Because when I think of Martin Scorsese, I think of like browns and greens and blacks and just like kind of dull colors. And this one's very brightly colored, and it's very in your face, pretty much from start to finish. No, I thought it was great. Like some criticisms, I would say, is I didn't really like the overuse of the slow-mo shots. I felt like there was a lot of that. And there were some kind of bad CGI moments, but I think overall, like, I really did enjoy it. Thought strong performances, good story.
You would have heard about her and a few of her more famous, infamous, however you want to phrase it, scenes in the film. How was it watching Margot Robbie in the film for the first time? Like, because you would have heard the hype about her. Did it live up to that, or did you find her character compelling or not? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so yeah, going into this movie, I definitely had seen the clips or like the shot with her with like the tight pink dress, kind of pushing up the heels onto Leo. Like I had seen that kind of shot, maybe even from the trailer or something, and I was just like, okay. But no, I thought she was absolutely fantastic. Like I think when people talk about this movie, they talk about Leonardo DiCaprio, of course, because I mean his performance is pretty incredible. But I would argue like the scenes that they're together, she's going toe to toe with him. Like I don't think he's necessarily better or worse. Like I feel like they're pretty on an even playing field in their scenes together. Yeah, no, I thought she definitely had like a tenacity about her, strength. Yeah, I thought she was fantastic as Naomi, kind of this gold digger using her body and sex as her form of currency, because everything in Jordan Belfort's life is money.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it could very easily play into that like gold digger Hollywood wife trope. But I like what you said. I think Margot Robbie does bring a bit of passion behind her role as the Duchess. You know, she brings a bit of glamour, yet she's still like she's got that accent, which again I just floors me when you hear her speak in her natural Australian accent, because I think she does a good Brooklyn accent. I think she does accents really well. I think it's one of her strengths as an actress, actually, because we'll get to Itonya later, but that one as well, I think she transforms herself into that role. And I agree. I like the scene, her in the pink dress. That heel is razor thin. Rewatching that, I was like, oh, that's an accident waiting to happen. Like you would need really good control to be able to pull that off. Like I am shocking in high heels. I'm a wobbly giraffe, so I don't think I would be able to do that. But I like watching her in that scene. And as you sort of said, her power plays that she's able to do. And the other one I really like is when she's throwing water in his face, which when she wakes him up, and she's just in her bra and panties, like, so she doesn't have a lot on. She doesn't convey power, but it's through actions and tone and things like that. And you better not throw that in my face, and she does it anyway. I like that, as you sort of said, she's going toe to toe. She goes there, and I mean, for your breakout role to be like a big Scorsese film, I can't imagine how overwhelming that must have been, as you sort of said, to feel like you need to put up the goods almost, like you need to show out why you got cast in this, and I think she does that. So I liked revisiting this one, and it's one I remember really enjoying the first time I watched it, and going back I'm like, oh yeah, could she have been in it slightly a little bit more? Maybe, just because I enjoyed her so much, and I liked her interactions with Joanna Lumley. I'm an ab-fab girl, like I was raised on that, so I would have liked to see slightly more than that. But you're already talking a 3-hour movie. I came to this one much later because like a 3-hour runtime is a huge barrier for me. Like if I just, you need to carve out time in your day, or if you're watching it for the first time, carve out time of your day. If you're rewatching it like I did this one, you can just do it in like maybe little hour segments. I was able to, but yeah, I like this one a lot. I'm glad we're getting to talk about it today.
Yeah, and I will say going into it, I don't know why I had this perception, but I kind of thought it was going to be a lot more serious in tone, and it definitely has a lot of humor in the movie, and I really that was a surprise for me in a good way. And I will say too, and we'll probably get it more with the other two movies that we're going to talk about, or other two characters, but I think Margot Robbie really has like comedic chops. She doesn't really get to she doesn't really get to show it in this movie that much. There's kind of accidental funny moments with like kind of the screaming matches that her and Jordan have, but yeah, I think it was kind of maybe the start of that in some of her later roles that you get to see.
Well, let's move on to maybe one of those comedic roles. We want to talk about her as Harley Quinn. So we'll be touching on her roles in Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey. I can't say the whole title. Emancipation, Fantabulous Harley Quinn something. I am rusty in fandom. It's one of those. Hit me up in the comments with how wrong that was. And the Suicide Squad 2021. Melissa, you said this was your introduction to Margot Robbie. Do you remember like any of her casting or being hyped for the film? Like, do you remember coming to the film, or did you just go in blind, not knowing anything about it?
I went into the movie pretty blind. I know it was kind of getting some traction, and there was some kind of buzz around it, especially with, I would say, Jared Leto being the Joker. And spoiler alert, he's not really in it. He's like barely in it. But no, I remember going to the theaters and watching this with my husband, and I, for the most part, had a good time. There's definitely a lot of issues with the movie. I think kind of overall, it's a really fun cast of characters, but there's not much of a story that really is like grounded in anything. But I would say again, Margot Robbie was definitely the standout as Harley Quinn, and it was the first time that we got to see this character live in live action. Because if you were around in the 90s, you might know her from the animated Batman. Sorry, what's the title? I can't remember.
Batman the Animated Series.
Thank you. I was like, I had it mixed up in my head.
The Fantabulous Emancipation of Batman, one of those ones.
That's kind of what was happening in my head. Yeah, so it was fun to actually see that character live and in person for the first time. And I think she did a great job.
For me, growing up in the 90s and loving Batman the Animated Series and loving Arlene Sorkin's performance of it all, and listening to podcasts with Paul Dini and Bruce Timm and Arlene Sorkin talk about like developing that character, loving like the Mad Love comics, playing Arkham Asylum. Like, I'm a Harley stan like for a really long time, so I could not be more hyped. When it was described as like they did the cast shot and it's like, it looks like they shot from Hot Topic, I'm like, hell yeah, it does. Like, this is great. I'm down. When the trailer drops and it's Panic at the Disco cover of Bohemian Rhapsody, I could not be more psyched. And then the movie releases.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to go see it in theaters at the time. I was studying at the time, so I missed when my friend group was going. And then the feedback I got from Allard was, Kel, just don't. Like, he just knew I would be crushed. So I came to it a little bit later, just like watched it on my own on a sick day, and just yeah, we know what it is at this point. We know what a sort of punching bag of a film it's become. I simultaneously will never stop saying like, this is Katana, she's got my back. Like I kind of wanted to go away, but don't at the same time, because I just like saying the stupid quotes. Every now and again, Ellen would drop like, because we're family, like, and he's not referencing Vin Diesel, he's referencing Suicide Squad. But seeing all the promo photos of Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, she looks great. I mean, you and I are costume girls, so you can't talk about like the impact that was the number one Halloween costume of 2016, and for good reason. It is a cool costume. one of the things that's really drawn me to Margot Robbie is even that afterwards she sort of said like, yeah, maybe that was a bit too skimpy. And I appreciate that. I appreciate an actress who's going to take a stand on like feeling overly sexualized and things like that. But her performance is great. The comedic timing she has, because Harley speaks in a very, well, yeah, clownish, impish tone. She's got baby voice a little bit for some of it. She's got a very specific way of speaking. She brings her Brooklynness to it, I think, much more different than, say, a Tara Strong or an Arlene Sorkin does in other media. But I like that she put her stamp on it and made that character her own, starting in Suicide Squad 2016. Are there any scenes in that film that stand out to you?
Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I would say just like her overall introduction to her character is like very enticing. Because I believe we get introduced to her at the prison first, and then it kind of jumps to like a kind of this montage clip of kind of her origin story with the Joker, and I thought that was a lot of fun. Again, I think the problem with this movie was just it's a lot of characters to kind of introduce and understand who they are and their motivations and like why they're all teaming up. And again, I don't know if it fully worked, but I think some of the editing options were a little fun here and there. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed her introduction to her character. I will say, kind of, I'll probably be comparing and contrasting this one to Birds of Prey quite a bit, because you can just tell how male gazy this one is compared to the female gaze of Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey. Just like, for example, the opening scene with her in the prison, she like is like licking the the poles, and like you kind of had said, she even was like, it was a little skimpy. And I know there's like a shot of her kind of like bending over to grab something, and like the thing that she's grabbing is not in focus at all. It's her ass. Just those kind of things. And then like the daddy's little monster, and then when we cut to the Birds of Prey, she just has Harley Quinn all over her shirt, you know, just such a difference in the costuming in Birds of Prey, in I would say upgrade.
I can't wait till we start talking about costumes in Birds of Prey, because yes, for Suicide Squad, I would say I love that they included like her aerialness, like her acrobatics and things like that. When I think of her in this film, I sort of just picture like stills in my brain. I can't think of any scene in particular that stands out, but just like those little bits of moments, like her with the hammer or like her with the bat walking, like I can just picture like the movie frames rather than anything in particular standing out. The one exception is when they do her origin story and her falling in the vat of acid. I really love that. And the fan service of her and Joker when she's in the proper Alex Ross designed, when they're dancing around, the proper Harley Quinn costume. I did like. Yes. I liked the nod to that. So those are the things that stand out. But let's move up to Birds of Prey, because as much of a little bit of a letdown Suicide Squad was, like, my hopes went right back up for Birds of Prey. Like, I was excited because, again, this is a movie I've wanted for the longest time. I've wanted a good Birds of Prey film. I love the Birds of Prey Batman in the Bold episode. I was hoping they would use that song. But bringing in characters like Cassandra Cain and Huntress and Black Canary, I'm like, yes, let's go. And I just loved seeing Harley in a girl gang. What are your thoughts on Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey?
Yeah, no, I love this movie. I would say it's probably my favorite out of these three. I do like the Suicide Squad a lot, but I'd say this one's probably my favorite out of the three. And yeah, I love the energy of this movie. There's a lot of like, I don't know, it's very chaotic, but it's very feminine too. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely Harley's story of like empowerment to herself. She's kind of freeing herself from the Joker. There's more independence in her character. She's kind of trying to discover herself. She's also trying to make friends, and it's like a fun kind of journey of her character arc compared to the first one. And I really liked the animated opening to this one. Like, you can easily just watch this one without seeing Suicide Squad, and you would be just fine with kind of understanding where her character's at this point in the film, or this film.
Yeah, this is one I need to rewatch again. I've only seen it the once in theaters, but the impression it left on me is as you were saying, like the empowerment. I've always loved the post-Joker stuff of Harley. We've just started watching the Harley Quinn TV series as well. So like, yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much. We're like halfway through the first season.
Good.
But I always like that direction of the character. So the scene that stands out to me in this is when she floors that truck into Ace Chemicals, like as a symbol, as a sign. And I just remember sitting in the theater going, yes, this is great. But another thing I think it does really well is just letting Harley be Harley, letting her have friends, letting her eat cereal, letting her have a pet, letting her love egg muffins. Like, I just like that it goes on those whims and those fancies with her. And I like when you indulge in that. And as you said, the costumes in this are so good. I love the Harley shirt. I love the ear cuff. They sold that like in a shopping center for a while. Like, I love the spangled bodysuits, and just the fact that she cuts her ponies off and she's got the short spiky hair. Yeah, I like the growth and change that we get to see in this one.
Yeah, the outfit that's probably my favorite is I love, like, it's like the confetti, like
jacket.
The jacket, like whatever that is. I don't even know. It's so great. I love it so much. And I love that she does like roller derby. Like, I love that kind of sequence. It's a lot of fun. I know some people kind of criticize movies with a lot of narration, which this movie definitely does, but I feel like it really works. I love, there's a lot of scenes of like her narrating, and then she'll like literally say the line like in her life, like right afterwards, and it's just, I don't know, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, and the costumes just, I feel like are just significantly just way more fun, kind of a party girl feel to it. And yeah, just, it's very feminine and fun.
We're gonna talk every episode, I think, because we just love costumes and just how much that reflects where your character is at. So if you have a character in multiple films, costuming can play, and makeup and hairstyling plays a really large role in letting you know that character's presence in the film, what they're bringing, what's their state of mind, what their overall arc is going to be. So with that being said, let's move on to The Suicide Squad 2021. I love her look in this one as well, that red dress. But this movie really captures what has been laid out by the previous two, is that Harley works great when she wants friends, when she's interacting with other people, when she's, but I thought your name was, like, who's Milton? Oh, Milton. Like, I love her when she's just in her own way. And the absolute best scene has got to be like, you guys coming to rescue me? Like, I like that Margot brings her softness and sweetness behind the crazy. So of course you can just be like off the wall, off the cuff, just saying the most random things. But when you can see all those connective threads there, I think she has perfected it by the time you get to the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. No, this one, I guess something to say about Birds of Prey really quick. Really great fight sequences. And in this one, definitely great action / fight sequences in this movie. Yeah, she, she's kind of a mess in this one, I feel like, in regards to, like, I feel like, and again, I've only seen this once, but from my memory, I just remember her kind of having, like, I feel like her makeup was very, like, kind of tears looking like a clown a little bit in this one, a little bit more. And yeah, the red dress is fantastic. And I really do like the scene. I can't remember, to be honest, what the exact character is, but he's like a politician that she's kind of like hooking up with or something.
Cortez, one of those ones. Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yes.
But they're like hooking up or whatever. And then like she just shoots him and she's like, I've learned. And like, yeah, and if I ever see red flags, I would tell myself I would murder him. And I'm like, holy shit. And it's just that chaotic energy and character of Harley Quinn, where you would just kill somebody because that's totally logical to do.
But that's where Margot Robbie sells it, I think. Like,
Yeah.
of course, like I'm following her thought process of to why she's doing this, and I'm sort of like, yeah, you go, girl.
Exactly. Like, it's not morally correct, but like it just works for that character. Like, absolutely. She's like, killing kids, that's a red flag, so you had to go, type of thing. It's just like, okay, yep, okay, I'm with you. She has some kind of moral compass in her mind.
Let's move on to her next and most critically acclaimed, I would say, performance, which is Tonya Harding in the sports biopic Tonya. This is one I remember seeing at release and just really having a fun time with. And when we got to revisit it recently, I'm like, this is just so good. Before we even talk about Margot Robbie, I've got to talk about the soundtrack. The needle drops in this are insane. As when you drop Barracuda, I'm in. Goodbye Stranger, I love that whole sequence. 25 or 6 to 4, like the 70s rock that they put in this film is awesome. And anytime like any song started playing, I'm in it. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Tonya as a film, as in general, as a whole?
Yeah, this was my second time, because I did rewatch it for this episode, and I just remember the first time watching it, I really, really enjoyed it. I really thought it had fun energy, really cool editing style. I liked the kind of documentary / flashback kind of format that they used. And yeah, I mean, there's needle drops left and right, and it is just incredible. It's directed by Craig Galipsky, I think. And I swear, this man, he doesn't do scores or soundtracks. He only does soundtracks. Like, it's just always needle drops, and I do love it. It really works. Yeah, a lot of fun songs throughout.
This one, I agree with you. I really love the style that the thematic style choices that the movie makes, so that you're cutting in between seeing them in interviews and then seeing what happens, and then you have anything that fourth wall breaks is usually generally really good to me. So anytime we're like, she's like firing off a gun and she just looks straight to the camera and goes, yeah, this really happened. I think that's just so good. And it always floors me when actresses are just so committed to the roles when they have to train. I can't imagine doing things like having to learn how to skate and perfect that. And okay, no one can do the triple axel. That's fine. That had to be digitally done. But still, anytime you're seeing her do these performances, I just like the commitment it takes to a role. And a biopic is already an ask and a half, especially if it's of someone who was so plastered around by the media, is that you know what they look like, you know what they sound like, you know those costumes already, like from her sports competitions, you know a little bit of the story. So it's an ask to lose yourself in that character. And I think she does a really good job of it. Like, for the most part, I'm looking at the screen going, yeah, it's Tonya Harding, it's not Margot Robbie. Because that's my thing with sometimes with people or actors and actresses on screen, is like, if I'm looking at you and I don't know what character you are, if I'm just like, my worst one for this is Nicolas Cage. And not that it's a bad thing in this example, but when Nicolas Cage is on screen, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Nicolas Cage. So when I'm watching a biography, if I can lose myself and feel like you're being the character, and I think she does that really well. What are your thoughts on her portrayal as Tonya Harding?
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting movie, because if you were around in the 90s, I mean, this story was everywhere. Like, I remember being a little kid, and it's one of those things where it's like, I was fairly young when this all was happening, but I do remember like just going to the grocery store, and like it was all over all the magazines, at the grocery store, and like it was all over the news. So it's like like this vague memory. So it's really interesting that like this was a movie choice. But I loved seeing this story, even though so like with that said, it's like you kind of know what's going to happen, but I still like really, really enjoyed the journey. And yeah, I thought Margot Robbie as Tonya Harding was incredible. Like I would say this is maybe quote unquote her ugliest role, because I think she's just I feel like she's so known as this like incredibly attractive, blonde woman, and I think it was really cool to kind of see her a little bit more stripped down. They kind of definitely did some stuff with like the makeup, and like one of the first times we meet her in the flashback, she's wearing braces and has a really short haircut. But I just, yeah, I think all that kind of stuff, the makeup, the costuming, obviously it helps, but I think she really sold this character where, you know, the thing about Tonya Harding is she wasn't that, you know, America kind of sweetheart or whatever you want to,
ice princess.
yeah, insert name here, but she was, you know, she kind of came from not the best like environment, and they really just didn't, the media did not want to highlight her even though she was incredibly talented and skilled. And I don't know, I very much like you were saying, I thought she kind of got lost in the role, and I thought she did an incredible job.
Yeah, I agree. I growing up and you heard about this story, like it's very infamous piece of media. So I thought it was interesting. I like how you sort of said go on the journey with it, because it's a journey. You're always going to be a little bit wary with biopics that you are hearing scripted words coming out of people's mouths. I'm sure like that's not the whole story, but I'm still having a really fun time watching the story and watching it play out, and the repartees and things like that. So I do think she brought a certain sympathy to the character, and it played really well for what the film's going for. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like that you said about makeup, because I think I read something where like the makeup artist was saying they would like tape her eyes and tape her mouth and just really try and like change her facial shape in the way they could. And another scene that I really loved, I don't know if you're similar to me, Melissa, but anytime in a film a character sitting at a mirror and putting on their makeup, like that really hits hard for me. So on that scene where she's like it's the Olympics or something, and she's plastering on her face and holding back tears, like I thought that was magic. I thought that was such a good scene. What are some of the scenes that stand out to you?
Yeah, no, that was definitely one that stands out to me. It actually really kind of gives me Pearl vibes a little bit. Because at the end of Pearl, she has the smile with the tears, and that's kind of what Tonya's doing in this scene. She's kind of putting on her makeup, and she's like smiling, and then tear, and then, you know, smile. Like she's really trying to maybe convince herself to present herself that she's happy, but she's clearly not. Because I want to say, if I'm remembering right, I think the scene before that is she's kind of performing and kind of just stops, or maybe I'm getting something confused, but anyways, I think at this point, ultimately, like that her character, Tonya, she's not in a good place. Like I think she's trying so hard to put out this image that she, you know, is happy, or that she's trying to do what the media wants. And she's just like, I'm not happy, you know, I'm trying my freaking best, but I'm not happy. But yeah, I would say in regards to, I mean, there's like several different scenes and quotes kind of in this movie that are a lot of fun. I would say like the shot that kind of stands out to me that I think is like seen in the trailer is like, it's that slow-mo shot of her kind of landing the triple axel. Yeah. It's like the hands out and she's like smiling. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like that's pretty iconic, I would say at this point. Like you could just tell the happiness that she's like just bursting, you know, that's coming out.
I agree. That's in my notes. I've got like, that's definitely one of the scenes that's like an absolute highlight. And as you said, the slow-mo really plays it off, and Margot is really able to capture. I like that anytime you've got a movie that's based on a real life story and you show pictures or clips of the actual people in the credits, that is just a big tick in my book. Like that is good filmmaking, because you want to see the real, like the things that inspired it. You want to see the events. So when she's skating to the passenger in the end, and she's doing her routine, I think it's really good to see that comparison. And Margot's really able to capture the exuberance and joy and just hell yeah, I did that of it all that Tonya had, and what an achievement and triumph that is, that being the only woman to be able to land this jump. So I think, yeah, when she's on the ice, those are some of the strongest scenes for sure.
Yeah, I would say another scene that stands out to me is towards the end of the film, the courtroom scene. I think that's a really good scene that shows, you know, Margot's acting abilities for sure. Yeah. But it's also really, really sad. Like she, you know, basically is sentenced to I think the ice association or whatever, and basically she can't skate again, and she's just like, I'll go to jail, like I'll do anything to skate. And it is just heartbreaking. You can't help but feel for this woman. Like that is her passion, that is her purpose in life, and it got taken away from her, and it's very upsetting.
I agree. That really broke my heart when I was watching that, because you see her at the start of the film, like at 4 years old, skating 8 hours a day. Like that is all she knows. That I have that taken away, I can't imagine how lost she must feel with that. And yeah, I think Margot delivers it really well. Just pleading, just the absolute pleading in her voice and tone to be able to skate again. I think is great. Let's have a bit of a chat in our segment, possibly to be changed later, but this is what we're going with for now. We're going to call it fun feelings and facts. We don't have fun facts, but we got fun feelings. Melissa, what are your thoughts overall on Margot Robbie as an actress, as a producer, her filmography? What are your fun feelings on her that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, no, I think overall, I think she really has incredible skills as an actress. I feel like we haven't quite maybe seen her maybe in her best role yet or whatever, but like I think she has, I would say probably Itonya is probably her best role. If not, I would say Nellie in Babylon. Like she's just incredible in that movie. But yeah, no, I think she's chosen really interesting projects, and I think her kind of switching, or not switching, but adding to her portfolio, being a producer, is a really cool move. And I've really enjoyed a lot of the work that she's done with that company. With, I would say the highlight of that one is Promising Young Woman. And also and also, I don't know if you've seen the TV show Dollface that she produced, but no. She also plays a very fun character on that show that's like, it almost reminds me of oh my gosh, from Harry Potter, Professor Trelawney. I think that's the name.
Yes.
She kind of gives she kind of gives me that vibe. She's kind of this like holistic kind of guru lady. I don't know, but she kind of looks like her, and I know she's a big Harry Potter fan, so that was like the vibe that she gave me. I was like wondering if that's what she was channeling for that character.
Oh, that's great. I agree. And you said it at the top of the show, and it's something I noticed as well, because I feel like in a 10-year span, sort of since we've seen her really break into Wolf of Wall Street in 2013, I feel like she's been super prolific. I feel like she's done heaps of things. And when I look at the filmography, it's a tight like 20 or so movies or performances. And as we sort of said, some really big swings and misses, some real critical darlings, and then some ones that definitely like went under the radar. And I like that she's done animated films with Peter Rabbit, and then comedic ones. And yeah, she's really had a variety of performances, but I just feel like her presence has been bigger than the filmography. So I find that really impressive, actually, that she's become such a solidified movie star in that period of time. As you sort of said, like having Itonya as like an indie darling, and then having Harley Quinn, arguably like one of the more well-known superhero characters that we've had in the superhero boom of the last 10 years. So I really like the different directions she's going, and I agree. I think she's going to start hitting her stride even more. I'm interested to see the roles she's taking in a post-COVID world. Definitely a few maybe missteps is too strong of a word, but maybe films that didn't do as well as they would have, with like Amsterdam. But I haven't seen Babylon yet. I know it's definitely going to be up my alley. Like that is a story I am very much going to enjoy. I love your movies about Hollywood, and a Clara Boas character sounds good to me. So, and there we go. I was going to say, we haven't even talked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Sharon Tate, because she seems to work really well with these prolific directors, Martin Scorsese, Tarantino, things like that. She seems to be a real good way to channel through those. What are your thoughts? I spoke about how you need to lose yourself in a role for Itonya. How do you feel she does as Sharon Tate in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Oh, I think she's absolutely fantastic. I'd say that's also, okay, I lied. There's like 3 of my favorite roles. I'd say Itonya is my favorite, Nellie from Babylon, and then Sharon Tate from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think she absolutely just captured the correct energy, and just obviously she very much looks the part. as well. I know some criticisms is like she's not in it very much and she doesn't talk very much, but like I would argue there's a lot of scenes where she's alone. So like how is she like she's just gonna talk to herself? Like that's kind of weird. I mean, I guess she could, but and I also feel like it was more just honoring Sharon Tate like almost as a memory in a way. So I felt like it was powerful that she really didn't say too much, but I get that criticism at the same time, because you kind of wanted to see more of her for sure. Because I mean, it's Margot Robbie. We're very gravitated to her at this point. She has that presence on screen.
Very much, and I feel like maybe because you want to highlight her in the film, so she's like technically the third lead of the film, or she's on the posters, or when we're seeing a lot of that promotional material, like I love her in that look with the black turtleneck, white skirt, boots, like that absolute mod 60s style. She looks gorgeous, so you do want to see more of that. But I agree, I think she's used correctly. It's used as a tribute. You have to remember this is a real person and the things that they went through, so I think it's really well done that we get to see her being so joyous. And very much as we just spoke about in our last episode with Norma Desmond watching herself, like this is the second movie we're going to choose where an actress is just going there and enjoying herself on the screen, and it's completely different energy. But
yes.
those are the scenes that I remember as well, was like her just being a normal person and going to the cinema and seeing other people enjoy her work. So I like that role as well. Melissa, is there anything else you want to say about Margot Robbie before we wrap up our Film Coven episode?
Yeah, I thought I think it's very interesting that like the way that she got the role for Wolf of Wall Street was like Martin Scorsese was on the lookout for the hottest blonde alive, and like it's just like, oh my god, the pressure. And then like at the audition she apparently slapped Leo, and that's what like ended up kind of getting her the role because they were impressed by that. But she was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get sued. Like she's like, I just screwed up everything. It's kind of interesting that that's kind of like her origin story in regards to like kind of where she's at now. That's kind of the moves that she made.
I love that. Like she is someone who is seeing things and speaking up about it, or is willing to take the risks or take the actions to do it. So if she knew she needed to stand out, I'm going to go for it. If she sees that there's not enough female-led movies, I'm going to be part of a production company that really pushes that forward. If there's things in the world that aren't right, I'm going to use my platform to say something about it. And I think that's another thing that really keeps me interested in her as an actress, is that I like the things she's doing and I like the things she's saying. So she is one of the current working actresses where if she's in something, like I'm at least intrigued to see what the project is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I spoke about it earlier, but I definitely think she has like a strength to her that like kind of comes out in a lot of her characters, and I think there's like a fearlessness about her as well as an actress that it's enjoyable to see. And I think she has really great physicality and comedic timing. So I'd love to see her in something comedic, which it seems like the Barbie movie has comedic tone. So I'm very excited for that movie. But even beyond Barbie, like I would love to see her in like a full blown comedy. I think that'd be really interesting. Almost like, they're not really around anymore, but like a screwball comedy. In my head, that's what I see her like in a role as, that I would love to see.
Absolutely, taking like those Harley Quinnisms and things like that, and just putting that as, so sort of like if they redid Bring Out Baby, she would be Katharine Hepburn, like that sort of thing. I could see something like that.
Yeah, that's like how I kind of see her in a future role. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, no, I'm just, she's somebody that I'm excited to see what she kind of does next, either on the actress side or producing side, because so far I've enjoyed most of everything I've seen. I haven't seen all her movies, but she usually is a standout, even if the movie sucks.
Couldn't say it better myself. Melissa, wrap us up and hit us with that outro. Thank you for joining us again, everyone.
Yeah, stay magical, everyone.